Hello, traders. Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com, February 19th, 2024. In this edition of your weekend video newsletter, we'll discuss the indices which made a new high on Friday only to fade back to a pin at major gamma. We did see some rotation in sectors, with tech losing some ground to basic materials, gold miners, healthcare, and Chinese internet stocks. With that tech rotation, we have the New York FANG index with its 10 components taking a breather last week as we head into Nvidia earnings and watching the other 9 index components, anticipating that we could see some consolidation further after that OPEX on Friday and options rebuild this week. So if this rotation continues, we'd expect to see the S&P 500 hang out above 5,000, a major gamma level, and for RSI to stay above 50. MACD and stochastics are a little extended, so there is the possibility those reset, and something we'll watch for this week with the New York Stock Exchange and the Russell 2000 small caps performing fairly well last week. Small cap biotechs, small cap financials, and small cap industrials, all of which remain above their weekly 10 EMA. We could see a nice follow through this week after some initial consolidation, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll be open to the idea that small caps could outperform this week. You can see small cap healthcare looking pretty good. Looks like it might bounce off this 10 EMA weekly and continue higher, along with small cap material stocks. Finally, breadth has been fairly supportive. We are above the zero line, as you can see with this New York Stock Exchange high-low, giving us a red bar on Friday, but still above the zero line and making higher highs and higher lows, the black line. In addition, advanced decline had made a new high. We are pulling back a little bit. And the New York Stock Exchange, of course, continues its path higher. Still on a green elder stick, with the potential for some consolidation or follow-through this week. With all of that in mind, volatility doesn't seem to be catching a bid. As this remains green, this is telling you that the volatility structure supports consolidation or a move higher in the short term. This would need to be bright red as it was on Tuesday last week if we're looking for major downside. All of that can change on Tuesday and Wednesday, of course, so we'll keep an eye on the markets for options to fill in and for price to stay above 5,000 at all costs. For now, the 10-year yield is consolidating right below the 100-period moving average. RSI is above 50. MACD and stochastics could recycle. So depending on what happens with yields this week, that'll either be a headwind or a tailwind for equities. To start on Tuesday, with junk bonds neutral, high yield corporate looks similar, sitting right above its 50-day moving average. If you're bullish equities, you want to see this maintain this area or move higher. And if you're bearish, you want this to drop off markedly like it was back in September. For now, yields and junk bonds are supportive to neutral, while the US dollar continues to ramp up, making higher highs and higher lows. If this starts to make a higher high, that's going to be exerting some pressure on equities. Although for the time being, the stronger dollar does not seem to be producing any pressure on emerging markets or European stocks, with Germany, Canada, the UK, the French CAC, the Nikkei, India, and Shanghai even starting to turn. The European stocks doing very well. If there's some other countries that you want to trade, these look pretty good, despite the dollar moving higher. Additional areas of strength, unfortunately, in Brent and gasoline have been pushing higher, while at the same time the commodity index continues this sideways range, slightly lower. Those are counteracting each other to a certain degree. While at the same time, political forces from the Biden administration are impacting natural gas. This might be a nice setup. This is a monthly time frame. As you can see, we're at a triple bottom. If we start to see volume coming in and this begins to reverse, this might be a long-term play. You might want to put, for me personally, in my kids' accounts, maybe buy some in-the-money options, looking for a move to the upside, giving myself like a leap or something along those lines. Natural gas is at a low that we haven't seen since 2020. Before that, it was 2016, giving us an opportunity to buy the dip. We just need to see institutions start to dip their toes before we do anything, because this could move lower, obviously. Finally, there's gold and silver. Both of those started to bounce last week. Been in a range for the most part in the lower half of this 8-week range on gold, with GDX gold miners bouncing last week and silver stocks catching a bid. There is some potential for a rally in precious metals. That said, we want to see copper continue to move higher. This is an economically sensitive metal. If this continues to the top of this range, that would be a bullish tailwind for equities as well. Therefore, as usual, it comes down to the strength in the 10-year yield, yields in general, and the US dollar. If we can see those two back off a little bit, that should be bullish for equities to start over the short term. This week, we start off with a nice mix from different sectors in the IBD 50 list, in addition to stocks showing rising profit estimates going forward. There was over 166 stocks that populated the rising profit estimate scan for the week. Some of those candidates are here, with most potential for a follow-through, with stochastics and MACD supportive and price above a rising 9/21 50-day moving averages. Many of these stocks will most likely continue this week. Those stocks from the rising profit estimate scan are herein. You can see there's many of these are above the 9/21 50-day, with the two moving averages rising up and to the right for candidates that we're interested in. Not too extended, but looking for stocks that are consolidating, perhaps continuing along with their trend, like Chubb in the insurance and financials group, CrowdStrike in the securities, if that pulls back a little bit, looking for a follow through there as well. In Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, among others. Eagle Materials doing well. You can see many of these stocks look good for a follow through. JP Morgan trending, looking for a continuation in the big banks. Leidos, we talked about on Friday, continuation there. MasterCard, financials, Microsoft holding on to the 21-day. Nvidia with earnings this week. Netflix breaking out to a new high and consolidating above that 575 zone. Novo Nordisk, Lilly, the healthcare sector, many of the biotechs and pharmaceutical names look very strong. Palantir holding near its recent highs, consolidating. Palo Alto, as previously mentioned. Primerica, continuation. A lot of the retail stocks also look pretty good. Watch Ralph Lauren and many other names in the group like TJ Maxx, Walmart, Costco, Abercrombie and Fish, Guess Jeans. Many of those look pretty good. Looking at the many of these stocks that continue higher, Tenet Healthcare breaking out of a trend most likely this week. Retailers like Tapestry, used to be Coach, continue higher. Trade Desk, nice gap up on earnings last week. Urban Outfitters, looking very strong, looking for a follow through. Previous watch list, along with Elf Beauty and perhaps Ulta, looking for a follow through in those names, with Ulta trending after breaking out of a flat base 3 weeks ago. IBD 50 has quite a few stocks that are trending, making 52-week highs. Many of them look like they could follow through. Altair trending Apellis Pharmaceuticals. Remember, healthcare did very well last week. This is trending, could continue as well. ARM Holdings consolidating. We're looking for this to push a bit higher. We have a credit spread on this one down at the 100 strike and may take these off if there is some selling in Nvidia going into earnings. So we'll manage this position this week. Ascendus Pharmaceuticals, trending, very nice looking chart. Volume suggests institutions been picking up shares, MACD turning upward, and stochastics embedded. Comfort Systems, FIX, this continues to move higher, seller of HVAC equipment, trending and making 52-week highs. Celsius continues its ramp higher. Volume shows institutions have been picking up shares for the last couple of weeks, making 52-week highs, looking for a test of that previous high over in September. Clean Spark, Frano and a few others mentioning this one last week, broke out above that 13, 14 level. Continues higher. Volume shows institutions have been picking up shares, moving from 8 up to 19 in short order last week. Confluent following through last week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, pushing to new highs. With company earnings out of the way for Confluent, earnings growth 154%, revenue growth 26.4%. Company reported on February the 7th, watching closely as it presses on 52-week highs. CrowdStrike, many of the security stocks continue higher, trending 921.50, 200-day or almost straight lines, with price respecting the 921-day on pullbacks, and RSI showing strength of trend. In addition, CrowdStrike beat earnings expectations on the 28th of November. It reports again March the 5th with company earnings growth of 138%, revenue growth 35.3%, with many of these cloud security names showing continuous strength, with cybersecurity ETFs like CIBR showing strength, a little bit of selling on Friday, but the trend is still up. Look for a little dips to get bought. DoorDash taking a breather after earnings. I'm looking for an opportunity to buy some shares on this particular one and maybe sell covered calls. Presently have a credit spread overhead. DraftKings holding on to trend. The thing to notice here is the volume for the last 6 weeks has just been spectacular while it's trading at 52-week highs. Looking for DraftKings to consolidate or continue this trend in the short term. Elf Beauty, as previously mentioned on the IBD 50 again this week, trending with retail stocks looking pretty strong. And the Spider Retail ETF XRT at highs. Looks like it's building a handle. Nice little cup pattern for the last 6 weeks. Looking for a push higher and a breakout as stocks like Costco continue trending, along with Walmart, TJ Maxx, specialty retailers like Guess Jeans breaking out to 52-week highs, American Eagle, Urban Outfitters, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Most of these continue to trend higher, showing the retail sector is doing well. And if you're suspect of trading any one name, of course, you can always trade that retail ETF, XRT. Additional IBD 50 stocks, ITCI, Intracellular, has been on the IBD 50 for numerous weeks, off and on. Although the company does report this week on the 22nd, it has been beating consensus estimates with growth of 56%. And revenue growth of 75.6%. A biopharmaceutical engaged in discovery clinical development of innovative small molecule drugs that address unserved medical needs in the neuropsychiatric and neurological disorders, beating estimates last time around by 57.63%. So we'll be looking for Intracellular to give us an opportunity. It more than likely is going to gap up, I would think, but that's just me. Last time around for earnings, volume came in, and the stock continued to trend higher after breaking out of a descending channel back in November. Meta continues this consolidation. We're looking for this trend to continue. Remember, Meta is providing a first-time dividend to shareholders of record. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Meta moving higher after this consolidation, just looking for an opportunity, as all of these indicators are overbought: RSI, MACD, stochastics, but it's definitely something that we have on our watch list on a week-to-week basis. And of course, Zuckerberg wisely comparing his headset to Apple's Vision Pro, getting some free advertising as people maybe contemplate buying a Vision Pro. Maybe they buy a $500 Meta headset on their first go-around. Make My Trip continues higher. Travel and Leisure catching a bid. Stocks like Booking Holdings trending, making higher highs and higher lows at 52-week highs presently. And one of Russell's favorite stocks to short when it gets weak or overextended. Monday.com continues trending. Volume picked up over the last couple of weeks, with the company reporting on February 12th, beating expectations. Earnings growth of 33%, revenue growth 35%, beat expectations by 93% in this latest quarter report. Specializing in software development and software management tools. Keep an eye on Monday.com. It could continue trending this week. Novo Nordisk and Lilly continue this trend higher, capitalizing on obesity drugs interest, with these two stocks trading like growth stocks for most of this year and 2023. Finally, there's Zscaler on the IBD 50 trending, has earnings at the end of the month, with the company beating expectations back in November, with an earnings growth record of 100%, beat earnings by 17.6%, and it has revenue growth of 39.7%. Look for these security names to continue higher as we wait for Nvidia earnings this week. Okay, traders, that's going to do it for me. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com on Monday the 19th. Happy birthday, George Washington. I'll send out a watch list later tonight around 12 midnight on the East Coast, around 9 o'clock on the West Coast, so be sure to check your inbox for that. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you in the morning. Ciao.